Uh-oh, it looks like my stream kind of disconnected, but we should be all right now. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I'll be on in. Yeah, apparently I'm having some technical difficulties because my OBS is going in and out. But if you can hear me, just let me know. But we're going to get started in just a moment. Child, I don't know what's going on with my system, but we going to make it work today. Just making sure, like I said, everything is good where it needs to be. So I'm assuming that we're good to go. Okay. Ahem. Hello, hello. It's been a minute. Hey, my sunflowers. Hold on, give me 1 second. I got some more stuff to pull up here just to make sure that everything's on track and where I need to be. Things are making some kind of sense. But anyway. All right, here we go. So, hey, sunflowers, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of BPD Squared Live. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and for tuning in and listening to whatever it is I may have to say tonight. I know I've been kind of MIA for a little bit. It has been a very, very busy month and a half, which I'm very grateful for because, I'm glad that I have multiple things that I can focus on, things that are bringing me joy and showing how I'm living in my purpose. So I'm very grateful for being busy. But also, I have noticed that I feel that I'm not giving a lot of attention to certain things, like in particular certain relationships. I feel like because I've been so busy and focusing so much on, work and building this and, just being a person in general, I feel like I wasn't really putting as much energy into my relationships as I was the other stuff. And one of the things that I end up doing when I realize that about myself is I end up going into what I call friendship overdrive, because I want to be present. I want to make sure that I want to make sure that it's seen that I'm showing up for my people, right? I want to make sure that it's seen that um, I want to make sure that it's seen that I care, and things like that. So, hey, welcome in, dear. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're excited. I'm excited too. But yeah, so sorry, going back to y'all already know I'm easily distracted. Anyway, but going back to what I was saying, like I said, I realized that when I'm not giving enough attention to my relationships, I go into overdrive because I want to make it very aware and very clear that I'm, present and want to, show up for them and everything. But really, it's, I want to make sure that also I'm not looking like a bad friend. I don't want to feel like I'm a terrible person, and I don't want them to have a negative view on me. And of course, with dealing with BPD, it's also that I just don't want to give a reason to give a person a reason. I don't want to give anyone a reason to up and leave me either. So, yeah, with that, like I said, I noticed those patterns of behaviors, and I also notice it when I'm making new friends. I can be overly helpful. I can be extra attentive. I'm like, asking these questions that, I feel like most other people wouldn't ask because I want to, like I said, show that I'm attentive and I care and I'm this and I'm that, or whatever. So, I do realize that that's more of a projection, but we'll get to that later on. So tonight, sunflowers, with all that said, I am going to talk with you guys about my experience with people pleasing, how it pertains to me with BPD and just in general. Hey, my love, thank you for being here. So we're in the realm of people pleasing. We are going to cover what it is, the actual definition behind it, why people with BPD often fall victim to it, and how we can work on not letting what others think rule us and our actions. So again, so for all the new people here, hey, my loves, if you are new to this channel, haven't seen my face before, we're getting to know each other. Hey, Sunflower, my name is Brenda, and welcome to BPD Squared, the channel where we discuss mental health from a personal perspective. So on this channel, I talk about my experiences dealing with borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder. So in hopes that the stories that I share can help someone find peace and understanding whether they live with a diagnosis or not. Everybody goes through something and everybody has to deal with their mental health. Not everybody may have a mental illness, but everybody deals with mental health. So with that said, my experiences are just that, my personal experiences and my interpretation of how things work within the realm of my diagnosis. So just to be clear, I am not a licensed medical professional. I am not able to diagnose anyone. I cannot give any medical counseling or therapeutic advice, but what I can and will do on this channel and on my platform in general is use my stories and my lessons that I've learned and the research that I've gathered along the way to help others gain insight into what I deal with on a daily basis, as well as create a safe space for people to feel comfortable navigating their own mental health. If you or a loved one, however, is experiencing a mental health crisis, though, and you do need the help of a medical professional, let me switch my screen. Give me just a second. Then please refer to the resources that I have behind me on the screen. These resources are also available as a link in the flower box or the description box, as well, I like to call it the flower box. So the link will take you to a list of these resources as well as others that cater to pretty much whatever suits you and your needs at the time, as well as you will find a database on there that can help you find help within your local area. I am not sure if that database also works internationally. I want to say it does, but I have to double check for you guys. As far as I know for sure, it's a database within the US and Canada. I have to check, well, I have to triple check and make sure that it is or isn't international. Otherwise, I will be on the search to find another source so that way there can be help for those that, for my friends that live overseas as well. So, with that, yes, if you or someone you know is going through a mental health crisis and you feel like you do need the help of a medical professional, do not hesitate. The resources are here. Please utilize them if you need to. And finally, I must issue a trigger warning to you guys. Being that this is a channel that covers mental health topics, there may be some subjects that can be sensitive or discomforting or triggering to some. So, as much as I do my best to put timestamps after every live is finished, so that way you know what's being talked about, when, and how, there's, sometimes that the subjects just go there, right? Like it could be something that somebody said in chat that I respond to, or just a thought that popped in my head that happens to relate to the story that I'm telling at the time. So, with that being said, I like to give a general trigger warning to everyone because these topics can get heavy. They can get sensitive. And if you ever feel like there's anything that we're talking about here on this channel, I would rather you take the moment to be safe, step away from the video, step away from it, and keep yourself safe than to risk it just to give me a view. Like, I 100% appreciate it, but I'd rather your safety than my viewership, if that makes sense. So again, view content at your own discretion. If there's anything that's sensitive to you, do not put yourself in a position where you're unsafe just to be supportive. So, with that said, hope that is clear for everyone and that we have a good understanding of what we're doing tonight. So, with that said, we're going to get into tonight's topic. The very first topic is, the topic overall is, what is people pleasing? And we're going to talk about what it actually is right now. So one of the reasons I wanted to cover this subject is because, like I mentioned earlier, I've been kind of going through some ups and downs in my personal relationships. And while I'm building new and exciting relationships, shout out to my MJ fam, which is in the chat right now, and I'm so happy. Yeah! Anyway, I love y'all so much. For real, for real. I love y'all so much. As I'm building new relationships, I also feel that I'm losing, I was feeling I was losing long time meaningful relationships. So somewhere in there, I started to get this desperate need to just be present and just show up for everybody. And, I realized that I wasn't giving everybody the same level of importance. So I've been kind of pushing myself to get that level for everybody, right? I'm just like, okay, I have to show up for everybody. And in that, I'm like working through splitting on one of my best friends. I'm working through the guilt and depression that I suffer when I let down a new friend. And I find myself in this place of just overexerting and overextending myself to prove how much I'm not a bad person, right? So to give a little bit more perspective, to give like an example, basically. So let's just say someone recommends a show, right? And they're like, hey, I really want you to watch this show. I think it's cool. And you're like, okay, fine, I'll watch the show. But you haven't watched the show. And the next time you see that person, they ask you, hey, have you watched it yet? So I am the person that's like, oh crap, I feel so guilty that I didn't do this one thing that they asked me to do. So, my way of making up for that is I'll end up binge watching the entire season in one night just so I can say, yes, I watched it, right? I mean, I really do mean that. I will watch the entire season in one night just to tell that person, yes, I did it. I watched it, right? Like, this is the same person who watched all 10 seasons of Friends in like 3 days. I still couldn't tell you what happened in the show outside of Pivot, but I mean, I watched all 10 seasons in 3 days. So it's not impossible. But that's the length that I guess is a small example of how far I will go to prove to that person, oh, yes, what you told me matters, right? So from there, let's go into let's go into the medical side of it now. So gave y'all a little bit of example, but let's hear what the medical professionals have to say about this. So let me adjust my little screen here a little bit more. I know I'm like super tiny now. But anyway, actually, I'll just do this because it'll be easier. And I hope everybody is doing good tonight. Let's just do like this. There we go. I like this. Everybody loves that show. Like, Friends is a funny, interesting show, but it's also a terrible show at the same time. It's like, it's so bad, it's good. And I know that many people are going to be like, oh, you're canceled. I know, but it's okay. I love the show still. Also, but, and I do want to say, RIP to Matthew Perry, RIP to my Chandler Bing. He was my favorite character on the show anyway. So yeah, to all the Friends fans, my heart goes out to you. But let's get into what is people pleasing, actually. So I frequent this website called Very Well Mind, which I have a link to this particular article that I'm referencing in the flower box. So if you want to check it out, please do. It's a good read. But it goes to define people pleasing as a person who puts others' needs ahead of their own. This type of person is highly attuned to others and often seen as agreeable, helpful, and kind. But people pleasers can also have trouble advocating for themselves, which can lead to a harmful pattern of self-sacrifice or self-neglect. People pleasing is also associated with a personality trait known as, let me see if I can pronounce this, sociotropy. Oop, I said it. which is feeling overly concerned with pleasing others and earning their approval as a way to maintain relationships. So, hold on, let me pull this back up here. So, people pleasing is something that anyone can actually succumb to. It's not just directed towards people who have mental illnesses. However, it is most commonly associated with illnesses like anxiety, depression, BPD, or APD, or avoidant personality disorder. So now that we understand what people pleasing is, how do you know that you're a people pleaser? How do you tell if you are a people pleaser? What are the signs? So, the signs of people pleasing, and this is a long list, but I'm only going to read a few off. The ones that I feel I personally resonate with the most. So this is also within that same article on Very Well Mind, and this list of behaviors is included but not limited to traits of what a people pleaser might exhibit. And so on this, it says, of course, you have a difficult time saying no. You feel guilty when you tell people no. You always tell people that you're sorry. That is my issue. You take the blame for things even when it isn't your fault. You feel that turning people down makes you mean or selfish or uncaring. You end up neglecting your own needs in order to do things for the others. And of course, the list goes on. Diane! Hi, Pooh! So, I'm going to take a moment to touch on some of these, but I want y'all to let me know if you're comfortable with sharing which one of these do you feel is one you resonate with, if you resonate with any of them at all. And let me know in the chat. I won't, if you don't want me to, I won't call you out. But just let me know if any of this resonates with you. Um, so as I'm going through this list, I noticed that, like I said earlier, saying no is hard for me, but I've, in my opinion, gotten much better at it. At least I hope I have. Granted, I still feel bad. I do still feel bad when I say no, but I at least recognize that I'm asserting my boundaries. So I feel a lot better by saying it because I'm like, okay, even though I may feel bad, I'm doing something that protects my energy in the long run. So the other thing that I really, really resonate with is having an issue apologizing all the time. And y'all might hear it tonight. I just have this, I might as well be Canadian because I'm always saying sorry. And so it is definitely a language that I want to unlearn, but that is something that I definitely resonate with wholeheartedly. Oh, you say you have issues with the first one? Difficult time saying no? Yeah, yeah. um, and one of these says, you're doing stuff because you want to prove, show. Sorry, let me get my words together. Another one is you are preoccupied with what others think, and also you're very, very concerned about, whether or not people like you. So I, admittedly, I do want people to like me. If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna switch my screen back for a second. And if y'all want me to put it back on there, please just tell me, but I'm gonna switch it over so I can face y'all. um, but yes, admittedly, I do want people to like me. And but it's more than just I want to be liked. It's really that I want people to have a positive image of me. So I want it to be all of them. Nice. But yeah, I'm more concerned about people having a positive image of me versus them necessarily liking me. I personally feel there's a difference in that. Because I don't know, I feel like people can still like you but still not have a positive image of you. So my thing is, if you have a positive image of me, you really don't have a reason to not like me. I guess that's how my brain figures it. Who knows? But anyway, um that is a concern for me, that I just want to make sure that when I enter into someone's life, no matter if it's for a moment or if it's for a lifetime, I want to know that I've added something positive to them. What's MJ say? If you come into this world knowing that you are loved, and you know, if people end up loving you back, that's all that matters, right? So that's kind of where I come from with that. So, again, are we good? I'm gonna give y'all a second. Are we good on this list? Do y'all need to see it again, or are we good? Are we good to move on to the next one? And I know it's a delay, so I'm just gonna wait for a second. Diana said, "Girl, all of them." Okay. All right. So, what causes people pleasing? What even brings a person to a point where they think that that's necessary to do? Oops. Oh, wait, hold on. I thought I put a slide there, but that's okay. We'll make it work. We are going to make it work. Now, okay, awesome. So, with most extreme behaviors, um, like basically what you would see in people who are suffering from certain illnesses, they commonly stem from some form of trauma or a belief about oneself. Now, this can be issues surrounding self esteem, insecurity, your past experiences may have a lot to do with it, or you could be just trying to create this perfect image of yourself. And of course, with BPD, a lot of this rings true, but mostly with BPD, people pleasing comes from just not wanting to lose anyone. And, it's really, as we've talked about before, the most common trait among BPD people is the fear of abandonment. And so we want to go that extra mile to make sure that those we care about stay happy, that we make them happy and they stay happy, because again, we just don't want to lose them. So the causes, like I said, the causes of people pleasing is for that particular reason. You just don't want to lose a person. You don't want to miss out on your relationship. Another reason, oops, I'm so sorry if that was loud to y'all, I apologize. Another reason is you end up relying on others to give you validation. So, in line with self-esteem and insecurity, someone liking you is technically your only way to measure your self-worth. So that is mostly a driving force there. Like you said, the liking you part, again, I guess for me, it's like I said before, it's less liking, and it's the sense of acceptance and a sense of validating my own personal feelings about myself. Like I mentioned earlier, that's more of a projection on my part. But I also want to add a point of overcompensation. So personally, when I make mistakes or if I feel like I'm disappointing someone that I care about, I tend to make myself very open, and I find myself pouring into them, their interests, or whatever they deem to be important to them at the time, because again, I'm wanting to make myself look good in their eyes. And again, this is a projection on me of how I personally feel about myself and where I stand in the relationship. So it's like if I feel bad about me, then I automatically assume they feel bad about me. So I want to put forth the extra effort to make us both feel good about me, right? If you feel good about me, then that means, oh, okay, I'm doing something right. And if you give me that validation, if you give me that acceptance and you let me know, hey, this is good, then I will feel good. But if I don't get that, then I feel bad. And with that, BPD is considered the other name for BPD is the emotionally unstable personality disorder, so EUPD. And one of the things about that is we have a hard time understanding our emotions, and we really have a hard time interpreting what others feel about us and how others feel about us. So not only are we seeking, well, I can say we because I know, well, for me, not only am I seeking validation, but I'm also trying to gauge what's considered acceptable. I'm also trying to gauge what's considered good or right or cool or not cool. It's, for me, one of the best ways to tell what actually makes the person happy or what makes the person upset, because honestly, I can't always tell the difference. I can't always tell whether or not a person is upset or a person is being sarcastic. And I recall when I was younger, I remember people saying that I was gullible because of that, or I was naive. And really, I didn't realize it until I got older that it was none of that. It was just I didn't know any better, right? I didn't know how to interpret that. I couldn't tell that there was a problem or not with the specific person because I'm not able to interpret those things and compartmentalize them in a way that I can understand them as these different types of emotions. For me, it's a okay, either you like me or you hate me type thing. As we've discussed in the previous live, that it's either good or it's bad, it's either all or it's nothing, it's either black or it's white, it's either this or that, because that gray area is very minimal for a person like me. That gray area is very muddled. So I'm either seeing, okay, you either absolutely love me or you absolutely hate me. And I'm learning how to put myself in that middle area that says, I can exist on both sides in that person's mind. And it doesn't necessarily make me a good or bad person. It's just I have to realize that I can't be all or nothing, and I can't be everything. I can't be everything and I can't be nothing, but I can be something. That's what the gray area is for me. So that's what I'm trying to get to. But anyway, so hopefully that made sense. Sorry, y'all. But moving forward, yeah. So with me, like I said, it's a matter of wanting to understand it from the other person's perspective. And so I go into this mode of pleasing or extending myself to show them the good side of me, so that way I can tell, okay, yeah, this is how you respond to good me. Maybe then it'll help me understand when bad me comes out. So so we have discussed so far what people pleasing is. We have talked about the signs of people pleasing, as well as we just talked about what the causes of people pleasing are. So if anyone has any questions or any concerns that y'all want to throw in the chat, please do. I'll be awaiting them. But because I don't want to make this go too long, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next point, which is the aftermath of people pleasing. What are the consequences that follow people pleasing? And also, I just want to make sure with everybody that you can see and you can hear well, because I'm looking at it on my phone. I don't have, well, hubby's not here to moderate for me, so I'm trying to make sure that everything is coming through good and clear. So if we're clear, leave me a sunflower, leave me a thumbs up, let me know something. Let me know if it's good. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to move on to this subject. And y'all let me know if everything is good. I'll check the chat. But yes, so something I'm still learning is the difference between being a pleaser and being generous. So the same article talks about when you're being generous, you are genuinely just trying to help people out. But when you're people pleasing, there's an ulterior motive. So while both can make you in particular feel good about what you're doing because it's something to help another person and to make that other person happy, the only one of them can be fulfilling, because it's not directly tied to another person's feelings towards you. So let's say, you're volunteering at a homeless shelter. or an animal shelter, or you're donating to charity or something like that. It's like, it makes you feel good because you're doing something to help anonymously, and you're doing something to help a collective. Whereas if you're doing it particularly to please, a certain person or a certain group of people, then it's not necessarily a generous thing. It's more a gaining favor thing. So I guess a loose way to put it is, when you're being generous, thank you, Pooh. When you're being generous, you're doing things because they make you feel good. Whereas in people pleasing, you're doing things to make them feel good. So I guess that's the difference in being nice and pleasing others, right? If you feel that your reason behind what you're doing, when you're helping someone, is to avoid rejection, if it is as a means to be accepted, if it is a means to be seen as this good person, then more than likely you're people pleasing, and you're not just being nice. You're not just being generous. Thank you, love. Appreciate you letting me know. Thank you. And sorry, I know I'm just going because the delay on this is very delayed, and I just want to make sure that we're good on both fronts. So, and the delay is like, I don't know, like 10 seconds, but it might be less than that, but it's still a huge delay. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Um, so, with that, because your generosity is really done in a matter of to gain favor with a particular person or group, you end up feeling a bit empty and frustrated. And it can lead to you feeling obligated to those people or that person, or even to a point where you are feeling you're being taken advantage of because, as requests may become more and more frequent, or if they become something that you feel like you have to continuously keep up with, it makes you kind of feel like, okay, there's more to this than I can actually give. And for me, it's definitely a source of anxiety because I've created this pattern that is becoming much more, it's just becoming too much to maintain. And it's like a double-edged sword because while I'm doing something that I feel like is good and I feel good about, the pressure to constantly perform and to constantly show up becomes overwhelming. And admittedly, I take accountability for that when it comes to me. I can take accountability for that because I realize when I enter relationships, like I mentioned earlier, I want to show I'm a good friend. And so I open the door too wide, to be honest. I do open the door too wide. And I sometimes open myself to taking on more than I can energetically give, or more than I energetically have to give. And like I said, I can only hold myself accountable for that because when I start to feel resentful, or if I start to feel that I'm not being reciprocated, it's the energy isn't being reciprocated, I like I said, I can it makes me feel bad. It feels bad, man. And so, like I said, only I can be accountable for that because this is what I've projected onto that other person. I've made what I feel about myself their responsibility to fix. So, yeah, that's something I can honestly hold myself up to. Um, the other thing, too, is that, people pleasing can be a real energy drainer. Like I said, you want to give so much of yourself, but a lot of times we don't take into, or at least for me, I don't take into consideration, okay, do I actually have the energy to do this for this person? And when we're giving to others, there should be a reciprocal feeling. There should be some reciprocity there because you see the benefit on both sides. You give and they give back. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same type of giving. It could be the fact that, like I said, you showing up for that person and saying, hey, can you help me fix this? Can you help me? Like I did with my friend. I helped her do her classroom, right? And it's like that give and take thing. It's like, oh, I show my appreciation by, okay, I showed up to help you fix this up. And then they're like, okay, and in return, I make sure that you're safe and I make sure that I show up to this event you may have and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. So the problem with that, though, is a lot of times, like I said, we're not looking to be reciprocated in that. We're just looking to be validated. And so you're getting your validation, but it still feels empty because you're like, I'm putting forth all this energy, and yet I don't feel I'm getting the same energetic return. So like I said, it leads to that resentment, but that resentment isn't fair to that other person because more than likely they probably didn't even ask for you to do the stuff that you've been doing for them. But if they are, it's still a matter of you have to be the person that decides what you can and cannot do in these situations, which we will get into that in just a moment. But you may feel that you've put in so much effort to show them how great of a person you are, but when you feel like, okay, they're not even returning the bare minimum, or at least if you feel like they're not even returning the bare minimum, that's when you have to start assessing, okay, this is probably something I need to stop doing, right? So with that, how do we stop people pleasing? How do we stop people pleasing? And is everybody doing good as well? I want to check on all of y'all. Thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate you so much for listening to me. Excuse me. So with all that being said, we talked about what people pleasing is. We talked about what the signs of people pleasing are. We talked about the causes of people pleasing and what a person can go through, the aftermath or the consequences of people pleasing, especially when it's done under the guise of seeking validation and approval versus just being nice and generous. So I also want to say that if anything I spoke on tonight resonates with you, I hope that you do not think of yourself as a bad person or that you trying to do these things for people is a bad thing. That's far from the truth. It is perfectly fine to want to be a nice person. It is perfectly fine to feel that some of these things, you're connected to some of these things. It's fine to recognize that in yourself. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, and it doesn't even mean you're doing a bad thing. I'm glad you're great, my love. And I am going to message you later. So, we all do things in hopes of being accepted. We all do things in the hopes that we're seen in a good light. So again, I say there's nothing wrong with offering help to someone, even if you are doing it to be seen as a good person. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do feel that if you're in a position to where you're constantly in the cycle of feeling like you have to do this in order to be accepted, then you might want to break that. And here's a few things that you can, focus on to help you get out of that if this is something you are dealing with. So, a popular word on this show, the famous B word on BPDsquared, outside of BPDsquared, is boundaries. We talk about boundaries so much on this channel because it is a very, very, very important thing. For me, living with BPD and bipolar, boundaries has become a major thing that I have to make sure is implemented, not just to myself, but to the others around me, because it has to be. So, as always, make sure that you are setting clear boundaries for yourself. Make sure you're setting clear boundaries for the other person. Make it clear and specific what you are willing to do, and make it clear what your energetic levels are to yourself. When you're offering help to a person, it's okay that you put yourself out there and you want to, be present and everything, but you have to also allow yourself to assess what it is you can give to the request, which we're going to get into that in just a second. Actually, we'll get into that now. So, with that, be very careful of allowing people to take advantage of you and your kindness. Be very careful of those who are asking for favors because you just can't say no. Be very aware of those people, and be aware of what it is they're asking of you. Like I said, not all the time, even though we want to be there for a person, we have to be honest with ourselves and tell ourselves, okay, I really don't have it to give today. I gave my last F to this job. I threw out my last F an hour ago when I got off work. I don't have any more Fs to give to these situations. So you have to figure out for yourself where you energetically lie and where you can place yourself in those situations. So yes, I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. So I went from boundaries to assess the request, and I'm also going into clarifying the timeline, and I'll go back to starting small. So with assessing the request of the person, like I said, it depends on what they're asking of you and the energy that it'll take. And also you want to clarify with that situation, okay, how long is it going to take? When do you need it done? How important is it? And how long is it going to take to get done? Is this something you need me to do on my own? Is this something I'm actively helping you with? I feel the more information you have about a situation, the better. So when it comes to that, get all the details you possibly can before you hurry to say yes. And it's fair to you and it's fair to that person, because you don't want to tell somebody that you can do something and then you are ending up not being able to fulfill it because you don't have the energy or the time to fulfill it. So to me, it's best to know all the details up front before you just start saying yes, yes, yes. And like I said, I'm going to go backwards to starting small. So there's a couple of approaches to this particular point. Especially in starting new relationships, taking on tasks for others is a big energetic shift, and the big focus right tonight apparently is energy. So, when you're taking on the task of other people, you are also having to create space in your life to fit the needs of those other people. And if you don't have enough space for that person and what they need, and you take it on, that also creates resentment. That can create feelings of resentment towards that person, because now you're feeling as if they're overtaking your personal needs. They're overtaking your personal time and your personal space. So when seeking to help someone, you can take it one of a few ways. One is to start with the smaller stuff. Start with smaller tasks. Only assign yourself to things that you know are easy to do, easy to get out the way, things that you feel, I can make that real quick and I don't have to think about it. Stuff that you know is not going to take up too much space in your energetic field. Also, the other side of that is, one of the things too with people pleasers, the biggest thing is that, you can't say no. So with the small task, you can practice with that by saying no. If you feel like it's very difficult for you to say no to the big things, so like the difference between can you run with me to the store versus can you come with me to visit my mom in the hospital? To me, those are like on two separate planes, right? So you could easily start, well, not easily, but you can start practicing saying no to smaller tasks and reserving yourself to still be there for the more important moments, if that makes sense. And so we're going to finally jump down to the last point, which is to reciprocate. So, again, I'm going to reiterate continuously that there is nothing wrong with wanting to do nice things for others, but relationships are about give and take. And if you feel that you're giving, and they're just taking, and you're not getting anything back, then you have to reevaluate that relationship. You have to reevaluate your efforts. You have to reevaluate what your relationship is based on. And if it's meant to just be, what's the word I'm looking for? If it's meant to just be you in service of the person. Because if that's the case, they should pay you. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. And the final thing that I want to throw in there as well is do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. So do things on your terms. Do things that are within your means, and do things within your definition of fair. Do not obligate yourself to task because you fear being rejected. Do not obligate yourself to task because you want to be liked. Don't obligate yourself to stuff just to end up rejecting yourself. I'll say that one more time. Don't obligate yourself to stuff if it's going to make you end up rejecting yourself in the long run. So there's that. So how we doing out there, chat? How we doing? Because we are at the end of our live. Yay, we made it. I want to say yet again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for being here and listening to what I had to say. I am excited to be back with you guys. Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks. I've been trying to put out stuff in general just to let you know, hey, I'm still alive here. But yeah, the lives were going to be kind of sporadic because, I wasn't here. I wasn't at home. I've been pet sitting. So I've been trying to make my coins, and, doing my work and just trying to build upon my own personal legacy, I guess you can say. So yeah, with that, again, thank y'all so much for being here, for joining and listening. If you found anything that I said in this chat helpful, please leave me a like to let me know that I wasn't just talking nonsense. Leave a comment below if there's anything else you want to add to the conversation. Share this video if you feel like there's somebody that needs to hear this message as well. And subscribe if you want to be a part of more of these discussions and you want to hear more of what I have to say, and you want to become a sunflower and be a part of this garden that is constantly growing. I see we've crossed the 800 mark of subscribers. We got 818 subscribers. So I am over the moon happy about that. And I'm so glad that anything that I have to offer to the world is worth your subscription, your like, your comment, your share, your all the things. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. My Diane, I love you. Yes. So the next thing, please make sure you're following me on socials. Instagram, Threads is a thing for me. Threads, I'm basically just mind dumping. So it is what it is, but I like it because it's like Twitter light. It's It's like Twitter Lite. It's kind of funny. And I did create the Facebook group that I think I mentioned 3 weeks ago. But anyway, I did create the Facebook group. So if you guys would like, I left the link to that down in the flower box as well. So please join the group. It's fun. It's cool. I've been posting stuff and, encouraging everybody to also post their own stuff. So that way we have a safe space. We're sharing, ideas, thoughts, questions, memes, whatever you want to throw in there. It is cool to do as long as it is respectful, it is not offensive, and it is in the means of helping others, reach a better point of navigating their mental health. So, in my opinion, it's going to be a fun space. We're encouraging more and more and more people to come through. So yeah. Let's see what else is there. Of course, I said Instagram, I said Threads, I said Facebook group. I'm not really active on TikTok, but if you want to follow me there, that's cool. Yeah. What else do I want to tell y'all before I say peace out? Hashtag 1 billion for Beat It. Make sure y'all are watching okay, push pause. If you love me, that's so manipulative. If you love me, then you will watch the Beat It video 3 times before this week is over. That's all I got to say. Thank you. Outside of that, thank you to my MJ fam for being here and supporting me tonight. I love y'all so much. You don't even understand. I really, really appreciate y'all being here. And to my other loves in the chat, thank y'all for constantly showing up and being so supportive of me and what I'm doing here. But with that, I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, and I won't be here apparently next week because, in the U.S., we are celebrating Thanksgiving. So I will be with my family, eating pie specifically and enjoying my time. But regardless, I wish everybody a safe, happy, joyous holiday, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not. I wish everybody a safe and happy holiday. And, if nothing else, I love you very much and know that you are appreciated and your presence matters to me. If anything else, your presence in this world matters to me and you matter, period. So there's that. Okay. I love y'all and I will see you in December. And again, stream Beat It. I said what I said. Do it for me because you love me, right? Yeah. Okay. I love y'all and I'll talk to y'all later.